Today I'm going to walk you through how I processed In the Morning Dew. I've already opened my base image in Photoshop. The first thing that I'm going to do is teach you how to do masks based on the light values of the image. To do that, with a Windows system, we're going to click Control, Alt, and the number 2. And that'll create a selection of your light tones in the image. If you then go to your Layers panel and create a Curves Adjustment layer, you'll see here that it's created one using the mask from your selection. So now if you want to mask the next lightest tones in your image, what you would do is Control-click on this Curves, and then Control-Alt-Shift-click on the mask. Then go to your Layers panel and create another Curves Adjustment layer, which is what I've got here. And I've clicked off my first Curves Adjustment, and now we're just going to look at this. This has selected the next lighter tones in the image, and I'm just going to drag that curve down a bit to darken the sky. You can see here it was before, and I'm going to take it down to about there. I'm going to deselect my selection now and bring in my texture. So the texture that I've used is Pontormo. So I've dragged that into the image and I've adjusted it. I'm just going to show you this with it normal. I didn't bring the texture all the way down because really I'm only looking to do this one in the sky area. So the edges runs about here parallel to this line in the image, and I've just masked this out a bit from here so it doesn't overpower. And I've changed my blend mode to overlay. Now what I did here is create a linked adjustment layer, and this is the hue saturation. This is what it looks like without that adjustment applied to it, and here it is with it. So basically all I've done is drag the hue down a little bit to warm it up. I've completely reduced the saturation and made the texture a little bit darker. Now to link this, and I'm just going to unlink it first. This is normally how it would have, when you select your hue saturation adjustment. It would come in like that. It's just a normal adjustment layer. To link that to the layer below, you want to place your cursor in between the two layers and use your Alt key and click. And that will link that adjustment just to that layer below it. It's not affecting any of the other layers now. Now I want to create a dark mask to brighten up the bottom quarter of the image. So to do that, I'm going to select my light original mask and then just invert that selection. Now go and create your Curves Adjustment layer, and that's masked it for your darker tones in the image. And here I'm just going to brighten up the darker tones a bit. Now you need to see I've done one point here, and I've done one here because I don't want to lose my darkest tones. I just want to lighten up this area. You can see it here without it and with it lightened. And you can see that just improves the contrast a bit. And I'm just going to get rid of this. Now I want to select the next darkest tones. And to do that, we're going to Control-click on our darks mask, and then Control-Alt-Shift and click. And so now that's selected the next darkest tones of the image. And I'll go ahead and do a curves adjustment layer again. And here I'm just darkening up those darker tones a bit. And this is just really a way of controlling contrast, but being very selective in how it's controlled and what tones are being affected. You can continue to create more masks based on the light values. If I wanted to go for yet the next darkest tones, I would Control-click on my dark mask and then Control-Alt-Shift again, and you can go. And I've only done curves adjustments here, but you can use any of the adjustment layers. Suppose you wanted to just change the color of the darkest values there, and you can see instantly how that affects it and what tones are selected. So let's say we wanted to really warm those dark colors up. And so here I've just done a solid color fill layer and change the colors of those dark ones. Now I probably would never do just like that where it's all one solid. I would use one of my blend modes, and so here you can go overlay or whatever. So there's all kinds of possibilities for using these tone masks. And the next adjustment I'm going to do is a levels adjustment. And in here, all I want to do is take down the brightness of my brightest highlights and the darkness of my darkest. And really why I do this is you can see the contrast and you can see those bright highlights and the dark shadows on a computer monitor, but when I go to print that image, it can't print the range that you can see on the monitor. So by doing this levels adjustment, I'm creating a file that's going to print more accurately. Next, I'm going to bring in my final texture, which is Paolo. And I just drag that in, resize it if it's necessary, and change the blend mode to overlay. And that's it. From there, I would just go and save the file. And I hope you learned something today. Thanks.